Welcome back, guys. How you doing? This is Dana from Masterland Investing. Thank you guys for tuning in. Now, what I want to talk about in this lesson basically is some of you guys got to take note on is some of the mistakes I've made. I know I've talked about some. I wasn't to my own home, but I was just trying to give you some examples of how to time the market right. These few mistakes I'm going to talk about go back to the same thing: not paying attention to the market. Letting your emotions get involved, going outside what you know is right, and not following what you've learned. The first one of the biggest mistakes I made was when I first started as an investor. I started in an area, I saw opportunity, I didn't have any money. I was super anxious, I had a business model in my head. All I needed was some money. So I got a friend of mine involved. He didn't have any money either, but we had a dream. And we needed about $36,000. So I told him, go around, shop around everybody, let everybody know. I'll do the same thing in turn. I'll write a business model. I'll go to the people I work for. I work for a lot of people with money. We'll find the money. Believe me, trust me, we'll find the money. Well, I shopped it around to a bunch of my customers. It was too speculative. They weren't interested. My buddy Mike, he shopped it around. Not many people interested. Long story short, he got a hold of me. He said, listen, I know somebody knows somebody might be interested to loan us the money. So he set me up a meeting with him. I went over there by myself, met with the guy, this gentleman and his wife. Told him what I was interested in doing. I needed to borrow $36,000 for 5 years. I gave them the terms. They asked me a few questions. They seemed interested, told me they needed to think about it, wanted to get back to me. Long story short, next day they got back to me. Their decision was they didn't want to lend me the money, they wanted to be a partner. I had only had $3,000 invested on a speculative commercial property. My partner, my buddy Mike, had $3,000 invested. So we had $6 grand out of pocket. We're looking to borrow 36. We needed to buy more property to put together an acre and a half that would have been commercial. I realized after we put the 6 down to buy the first 2 properties, I made a mistake. I needed the other 4 behind it. So this particular guy and his wife wanted to invest rather than lend me the money. So I got creative and I got $96,000 out of them on an agreement. We set up an LLC. I don't want to drag on the story. Long story short, it was the biggest mistake I ever made. This guy talked a big game and inherited some money. Wasn't true to his word. Told me he'd have the money in a month. We could pull off his deal. It took about 6 months to a year basically for him to give up the money. In turn, the business started growing. He was always throwing a wrench in it. He didn't know much about land investing, but had a lot of opinion. Ended up in litigation. So my advice to you, as far as if you're motivated and you really think you have something great, don't borrow the money. If you can't make the deal, move on to the next one. There's better ones down the road. Educate yourself. Learn how to do it with very little bit of money, if possible. But don't go out and borrow money from somebody. Don't partner up with somebody you don't know. Usually it goes bad. I mean, you really need to do your homework when you do that. The next biggest mistake I made was another one. Let me think here. Next biggest mistake. I actually wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. Buying on emotion. The market was popping. I was making a lot of money. Actually got to the point I had more money than I ever made. And for some strange reason, I thought I needed more property in my portfolio. So I was speaking to my wife, and she agreed with me. We thought we needed another property. We needed an ocean access property. So I got a hold of one of my realtors in the community and told him go ahead and find me a property. First mistake, I shouldn't have used a realtor. I should have did it like I knew better and did my own homework and found my own sellers. So long story short, I hired a realtor that had sold some property for us, and I spent $360,000 on a pie-shaped lot that was Gulf access. Wired the money over, did the deal like in 3 weeks, closed. Big mistake. Less than a year later, now this goes back to the 4-phase real estate cycle, wasn't paying attention, had my head up my butt. I knew the market was going south, it was starting to slow down the demand. Decided a little less than a year later that I needed some money. and I shouldn't have bought that property. I had enough property that was not making me any money. And dirt, you can't hold all of it, because if it ain't making you money, then it just costs you money. So once again, I went back to that same realtor instead of doing it myself. I was lazy, because you get complacent sometimes, think you know everything, and had him sell the property. He said, well, you can't get 360. I said, well, I understand that, Jason, but I need to move the property. I got some bills I got to pay. I'm getting tight on money. So he sold the property for me. Took a little while, took 2 or 3 months to find a buyer. I ended up selling that property, I want to say, at $280. Now remember, I paid $360 for it cash. Sold it at $280. Not only at $280, I ended up paying him 8% of the $280, which was a big chunk. Paid closing costs. So I'm not going to tell you the numbers, but you can do the math. It was a big chunk. I lost my ass on that deal. Another big mistake I made was becoming too diversified. What I did was, when I made a lot of money in residential dirt flipping and speculating, and made a lot of money timing the market right and got big checks in return, I didn't want to invest in the stock market, didn't understand that enough, didn't trust that market, so I wasn't going to put money into something I didn't understand. So I diversified and bought commercial development land, which was a big mistake. I bought property all over. I spent $1 million on one particular road, light commercial development property. None of it had buildings on it. It was all vacant land that I was going to develop. I won't go into that. It was a big mistake. I ended up hiring an engineer group, spent probably $100 grand over the course of 2 years developing land. By the grace of God, it never got to fruition that they were built, because I would have got myself in a lot of trouble financially, borrowing money to get the builds out. Another big mistake. Big mistake was buying non-performing assets, and that goes back to our last mistake. Instead of buying commercial property that was vacant, what I should have done, I had a lot of opportunity to buy different businesses that were proven income businesses. Next time around, I would say to anybody, if you have that opportunity, you have a lot of money, don't take dirt money and put it back into more dirt money. Unless the market's strong. If you're going to invest for the future and you want steady income, passive income, invest some of that money back into what I call performing assets. Bricks and mortar, buildings that are in place, commercial buildings that will create revenue. Maybe it's a mechanic shop. There's a guy who's been leasing it 20, 30 years, and you have an opportunity to buy it, the price is right, and he's not going anywhere. There's no guarantee, but he's paying the bills, he's been paying on time. That's income generating property. Don't buy land and develop land unless you really know the business and you have a lot of money to carry you through some hard times. So those are some of my lessons, some of my bigger mistakes. Getting too diversified, buying on emotion, thinking I needed more property than I needed, not thinking and just buying because I just felt I needed it. Partner up with somebody because you think you need the deal more than anybody, and you need the money. It didn't matter who they were, you need the money to make the deal. Big mistake, because you lose a lot of the control as an investor when you bring in a third party or a second party that has money, because they want to have a say, and typically they're going to throw a wrench in your game. And not buying performing assets, buying too many non-performing assets, being too diversified. Those are some of my lessons. I want you guys to take note of those, because what I'm trying to teach you guys is to prevent you guys from making the same mistakes. If anything, if you don't want to reinvest your money and the market's coming to a halt or the market's crashing, put your money away in a safe. Put your money away in a box. Don't tell anybody where it is, and put it away until the market comes back around. And like I've told you in other lessons, if you time it right, you'll get richer than you ever dreamed of, because you've positioned yourself in the right position. You haven't got to go borrow money when the timing's right. You just go to your box and you pull your money out and you buy everything for pennies on a dollar. So thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Once again, don't be greedy, be generous. Go out there and inspire somebody. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to continually try to pump out some good videos for you guys, keep you educated, keep you up to date on what this land business is all about. So thanks again for tuning in. You guys have a great week. Thanks again.